o'clock. And
The gang's all
the
here,
gang
so
is
you
all
might as well go
here.
ahead.
That's right.
Yes.
So here we go. Let's call to order our meeting. First, I will ask if we have any requests to remove items from the consent agenda for discussion. Shane!
Item 7.
We've missed you.
Okay,
I do not.
thank you.
Nothing for me.
I have the same items as Shane
Okay.
just mentioned.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. It was
Seven.
Yes, 7A, I have a question.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, and then can I have a motion to approve the order of items for the,
Moved.
Second?
There we go.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right, well, really quickly, I just want to say it is the most wonderful time of the year. And I love being here at the library and hearing all the little voices of young people having a good time. We are about to kick off the winter reading challenge, which will be a lot of fun for our patrons and our readers in just a couple of days. And this has been a great year here at the library. We've had some really great programs and just a lot of fun and great progress on our strategic plan. And I know that you all know that I love serving on this board with you all. So so I will just go ahead and turn it right over to Tara for our director's report.
Well, thank you. Yes, I want to echo that too, that it has been a great year and I hope you all have a warm and cozy end of 2023 and a bright and shiny, fresh 2024. So thank you for being here. I should mention that Catherine's ill today, so she's
Oh, I'm sorry.
and our SOC representative is ill today too.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know.
It is also that time of the year.
Yeah, I know I didn't give them my cold. I gave it to Rita, but no one else.
All right, well, bear with me. My verbal report is I've got a lot of things to share and they're kind of complicated things, so here goes. I wanted to update you that MLA has drafted legislation to protect libraries and intellectual freedom. They have drafted this legislation and it hopes to be introduced to the House in early 2024. Some librarians and library law experts along with MLA and some legislators worked on this. It basically supports the collection development policy and the request for reconsideration procedure that already most libraries have. But it provides some extra protections for libraries and bolsters that. So one of the things is it explicitly states that the library director shall have final responsibility on the selection for materials for inclusion and withdrawal. So library director's decision is final. It also stipulates that libraries must have a policy that complies with the act and it stipulates the things that policy must contain. And a couple of the items that I thought were interesting are that the requester must have read the whole item, which we have that in ours. The requester must be in the library's legal service area, so for us that would be Bloomfield Township. And then the other one was that a new request for reconsideration of the same material may not be submitted within 365 days of a decision. So people can't just make the same request over and over again.
Well, that's a good thing.
About the same piece of material, same
Right.
item.
Okay.
And not groups of material. Is
Right.
that correct?
Right,
Well, didn't we change ours to say you have to do it one at a time?
we did, yeah. The reason or basis for the request of either the subject matter or the author cannot be made on the basis of religion, race, color, national origin, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, height, weight, familial status, marital status. So in other words, people can't come after a book for these specific topics, whether it be the content of the book or the author. A public library may not grant a request for reconsideration based on the subject matter, content, or viewpoint of material unless the material has been adjudicated to be obscene or otherwise unprotected by the First Amendment. And the Supreme Court has this test.
Can you read that again?
Yeah. A public library may not grant a request for reconsideration based on the subject matter, content, or viewpoint of material, unless the material has been adjudicated to be obscene or otherwise unprotected by the First Amendment. So the Supreme Court has this test, they call it the Miller test, and that's what is used to determine whether something is obscene. I don't know the details of it right now, I just know it's a thing that exists. So nothing we have on our shelves is considered obscene, and that's what the basis of a lot of these challenges has been.
When they say otherwise unprotected by the First Amendment, what other kind of material would be, so there's obscene, excessively violent, or?
Yeah, it's something to do with violence or threats or hate speech. I can't remember the nuance because there is a slight nuance about it, but inciting violence maybe.
Okay.
And then the last thing I thought was interesting about this legislation is that public libraries must have such a policy, so public libraries can't get away with not having one. And it also gives the right of people in the legal service area, such as yourselves, to file a civil action against a library for removing an item. So it protects everyone else's right to have access to those items. So like I said, this is in draft form right now. It is on the desks of 2 House members and will hopefully be introduced in early 2024.
Do you know where the House members reside, where their districts are by any chance?
I don't off the top of my head, but I could find out.
Be interesting too, you know. So in front of 2 House members and slated to come up spring?
Well, early 2024 is
Early,
what I said. So just sharing that with you so you know that MLA, Michigan Library Association, is really doing a lot of work to bolster intellectual freedom.
Are they located in Lansing? Okay, that's what I thought.
Okay, this is a complicated explanation about text messages and emails. So you all know that we have an email newsletter system that we use to send out a lot of marketing materials. We also use that to send out information about emergency closings, and it's one of the pillars of our campaign to educate people about the millage coming up. So that system ties into our patron database, ILS, and it pulls email addresses from patron records. Well, Catherine noticed that between, I think it was September and October, about 2,300 email addresses had been removed from the list. So she started doing some investigation, and we discovered that the company that we purchased this software from had done some cleanup of records, and that large number was due to email bounce backs. And we found out that in our patron records, we have a lot of bad email addresses. The reason that we have those email addresses is backing up like 8 years ago, people started asking if they could receive their library notices, which by that I mean, your hold is ready, your book is overdue, by text message. For whatever reason, and I don't want to debate this at this time, we did not establish a formal way of sending people text messages. So Circulation, being the resourceful department that they are, came up with this workaround where, you know how you can send an SMS message using a phone number at att.net? So we added that to patrons' records so that to their email address field, so they would receive their notices by text message. It wasn't pretty, it was a workaround, we didn't really promote it, if somebody asked, we would say, well, we can, it's not great. I don't want to debate that right now.
I don't even fully understand what you're saying.
Well, it was also, probably plausible then.
Yes. So now, our Savannah email newsletter system is trying to send these emails to this text message email address, and they're getting bounced back. So Circulation is going to try to clean up all those email addresses by removing them and trying to get a valid email address for patrons and do a lot of communication about why we're doing this. We are also investigating some more formal ways of notifying people by a text message for the future. So we're working on a solution for that. I'm telling you all, just in case there are some angry people or people who are kind of sad that they're not getting that text message anymore, just wanted you all to know that we're doing that.
When they renew the cards, cause we always have to renew the cards, I don't know if it's every other year or every year. Do they look at their form and say, is this a accurate
They make sure all
email?
that
They can
information
reach
is still
out. Okay.
correct,
All right,
yeah. That's one
gotcha.
of the reasons to renew the card.
Sure, okay.
So what is being done about the 2,300?
So we've identified that about
Understand that.
1,700 of those people have this bad email address that we put there to
Okay,
try to solve a different
but
problem.
do we have a good email address?
That's
We
what
do.
I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay,
A lot of those people have two email addresses. It'll be
Oh,
that text
okay.
one and then a regular email
I
address.
see, okay. Okay,
But you have to go back into their account profile and literally.
And you
one
can't
by
just hit
one.
one button, it's one by
Yeah.
one.
And then the other, so there were 2,300 addresses total, 1,700 were identified to be this wonky problem. And the others are just people who have either moved out of the service area or unsubscribed, so.
Gotcha.
But 2,300 people, that's quite a few, and if we
Yeah.
want them to know about our millage, that was important to us. Along a similar vein, letting you know about a change we're making. You all know that, of course, we prioritize Bloomfield Township residents in everything we do, and one of those key components is program registration. So when we offer a program and we want people to register for it, we give Bloomfield Township residents priority. Usually program registration is 30 days from the program. And we do the first 3 weeks for township residents, and then if there's still space, we open it up to the public. Well, we've had such a strange year with programs, some programs we haven't had enough space for. Other programs we've had though, that we've required registration for just have not filled up. In fact, a couple have been canceled. So the marketing committee was talking about this and brainstorming some ways we could still give priority to township residents, but maybe allow some others in so that we don't have to cancel programs that we work hard to establish. So we're gonna kind of flip that and do the first week priority registration for township residents and then open it up to the general public. Staff report that usually if a program's gonna fill up, it fills up within a week. People get that newsletter and they know what they want and they sign up for it. So we think that this will be a better balance of priority for township residents and then opening up programs for others.
Will we give people notification that that's
Changing? Yes, it'll go into effect March 1st with our spring newsletter. So it will be included there and we'll do some messaging before that too. We'll keep our eye on it. If it doesn't work out, then we can change it back. We're not married to this. We just thought we'd try it and see what happens.
How few people would you need to cancel?
Oh, we've done programs with one person before.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting.
maybe we hold off messaging until
After. Good thought. Speaking of the millage, it is out there in the world in many different ways. The cover of the newsletter, you probably all saw the article that was there. It is, the text of the ballot proposal is on the Oakland County Elections website. You all know that Danny and I addressed the township and that video is available on the township's
Did a
website.
very good job.
Oh, thank you. There was an article in downtown, so there's been quite a bit of press around this ballot proposal. And I haven't heard anything from any patrons, good or bad, so I'm taking that as a good sign, that people are just like, oh yeah, we're gonna vote yes. Last week we did staff training on the millage, so I shared all the details with staff, made sure they understood it, and understand what they can and can't do around what they can tell people. Talked to probably half the staff, we never get everybody in those staff trainings, but I got about half of the people, and then we send out an email update as well. We are working on a web page that will be kind of the basis of all of the communications around this. With Catherine out sick this week, that might be put back a little bit, we'll probably get it up next week. But everything will tie back to that website, so I'm gonna share that link with you all, and you can share it with your circles. We'll use that for the basis of our social media information, we'll link to that webpage in our email newsletters. So we're working on getting that ramped up.
And will that go out like to friends and any other groups? And when should they expect that? And should
I wanna say next week.
yeah. First of the year?
Yeah.
Okay.
we are planning some informational sessions here at the library that I'm planning on leading. This would be a chance for residents to come to the library and hear about the millage, ask questions that they might have. There are 4 different sessions. I will send this information to you all, but they will be January 17th and February 15th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. They'll be, short, no registration required, just drop in. But any of you are welcome to be there and show support for the library and the millage and address patrons if you choose. Definitely not required, I can
I
certainly
think it's
handle it,
important
but
that we have a representative at each one.
be great. So I will share those dates with you as well, so you have it in writing. But yeah, we're just we're kind of timing it around when the absentee ballots go out, so mid-January is when we're gonna start ramping up this information. Early voting starts February 17th.
And then we're having that here
Here.
again.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Did you ever get a report back from them on the first one? Did they enjoy being here?
They loved it. Oh, they
Okay.
loved it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Who they?
The early
The
voting,
election
the people who
workers.
worked,
Oh,
the polls.
They loved it.
They were super
Election
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
workers.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and the site in Birmingham never happened? And Southfield Township or whatever, did that
The
happen?
library served as
All of
was-
those.
Yep.
So we were the only one. Any other early voting in Oakland County?
Oh, yes.
Did we hear back from, did Martin provide any sort of feedback for us about anyone else in Oakland County that was doing early voting? I guess is what I'm asking.
I didn't get anything from Martin. I heard from some of my library colleagues that they were offering early voting and it was fine.
Oh,
They
good,
had a similar
okay.
experience to ours.
Okay, good.
I just know the people who were there, they were so lovely, so we had a nice chat with them.
They were really happy to
And
be
we've
here.
said a few times that it was somewhat of a light election, so that
133.
that
Yeah.
they were able to ramp up in
Right,
a
right.
in a
We had so
smaller
few
way.
because we only had one thing on the ballot, so,
Right.
yeah, so.
And Martin said, I guess they were using a new system and a whole new method because they had to print ballots on demand. He said that almost every single person had some little quirk that they had to try to figure out how to work around. So he said it was a great training ground.
Good.
So we have some enthusiastic members of the ambassadors.
Yes, we do.
And so how are we going to work with them?
Well, the campaign committee, the Yes Campaign Committee is integrating them. And I will include them in the information about the website and just make sure they have all the information that they need so that they can pass that on to their groups as well.
Okay, so we are all part of that committee, right?
Yeah.
So we're receiving emails.
Yes. Yeah. And then I have one more thing to share, and this is not my favorite item of business, but I want you all to know. I feel like world events are being reflected here at the library in some unpleasant ways. Twice on 2 different occasions, we have found swastikas engraved on the tables in the commons area. So 2 different desks, 2 different occasions about a month apart.
Engraved as in like scratched into the wood?
In what area of this
The
library?
commons.
Oh my gosh.
And how was that, were you able to repair that?
Yeah, facilities has tricks, ways of, I guess you can use an iron to kind of like swell the wood
you
and
can.
sand it, yeah.
Oh,
And no, obviously nobody came forward witnessing.
No, a patron, as I understand it, another patron found it and reported it to a circulation staff, and then they reported it out.
That is really disappointing.
It's very disappointing. It's very troubling. I feel very helpless. Like, I don't know what I can do to stop that because those pods over there are so isolated. You can't really see anything. So I've just been talking about it to staff, and we're trying to be as vigilant as possible to.
And it goes along with what we hear all the time, which is if you see something, say
Say
something.
something,
Right,
And that's all you can say to anybody, really.
yeah.
And this is not an area covered by our video.
I did report it to the chief of police as well.
That was my next question.
And then another thing that was found a couple weeks ago, I think it was just the weekend of December 7th, 8th, we found these hand-drawn Palestine flags with messages on the back. These, like 20 of these, throughout the library stacks, you know, kind of tucked into books, laying on tables. As soon as staff noticed these, they did a sweep of the building and collected all of these. You know, these are not of a hateful nature, but they violate our library postings policy.
Sure.
So, again, just sort of world events.
And only in the adult service.
Yes.
Just as an aside, you may wanna watch out if you start getting pictures of watermelon. That's what they're doing at Cranbrook now, because they no longer can put the flags up. So their watermelon has a red rind and a green, so and so that's, if you drive down the main part of Cranbrook, you will see watermelons.
Actual watermelons?
No,
Or
just
pictures of watermelons.
Pictures of watermelons, because they now have a flag policy at Cranbrook. It's only American, Michigan, and the Cranbrook flags are allowed to be posted, so.
Okay.
But just be,
Thanks for that.
yeah, just know that that's something else, so.
Yeah, because we don't want anybody to feel unsafe
Correct.
here or unwelcome at our libraries.
And not just patrons, but staff.
Yeah.
And then we had the question about the author of children's book.
Danny's gonna talk about that.
And Daniel responded.
Yeah.
So that even got down to the youth area, right?
Yes.
That was-
Yes.
So that's my long report.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes.
There was some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Now may I please have a motion to approve the remaining consent agenda items?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Well, this is the time where we would have a call to the public, but we're all alone in here tonight.
But could I just say that the SOC just did a wonderful job.
Oh, wonderful
Andiamo's, the
job.
food was
Oh,
delicious.
great.
Our team came in, like, we were tied for second, so yeah.
You know, it was
It
a
was
lot
the
of
skin
fun.
response.
It was so yes.
It
But
was
they
a lot
did a
of fun. It
wonderful
was
job.
great to be with everybody.
Yeah.
It was, and I thought
Third or
that guy
fourth
was
or something
terrific.
like that.
He was
Me too.
great.
Great voice,
Moved it
great,
along.
yeah, he was wonderful, so,
Yeah, it was
but
fun.
applause to them.
Thank you. I will be
Yes,
sure to
please,
pass that on.
please
Yes,
do.
I
Please
will.
do that everybody.
The only thing
really
that was
enjoyed
scary
it.
was that darn elevator, it was the tomb.
Oh, I did.
Rita's still perplexed.
Well, we have, in our unfinished business, we have two items to address.
Unusual for us.
It is.
Linda and I had to remember how to do that.
Okay, and so the first is our election of officers, and we can find this on
28.
page 28 of our
PDF.
yeah, let's see, 28 here. Okay, so we have, should I turn this over to nominating, perhaps?
We'd be happy to take that on. So Joan and I discussed this, and we felt that it was beneficial if all the officers from 2023 would remain and be willing to serve again for another year, to serve for 1 year for 2024 when we have our next election, for the continuity, but also, as you know, we have some big things coming up in 2024 with our village and some of the other things that we are going to be taking care of that are high ticket items, and it just seemed like it would make sense, particularly since we still have, even though now you've gone through your year, and Shane a little longer, we have 3 members on the board who are fairly new, so still, and still asking very important questions and learning the ropes. So we approached Danny, and of course Joan asked me and I asked Joan, and all seemed to go well. And so we presented this last month, just to let you know that that's what we're doing, but we felt that it was important to have it in December as opposed to November, because November is, as you know, in 2024 will be an election year, and it always bothered me, and I think it's bothered Joan too, because we've been on the board, where you would have the election, all of a sudden, you would vote in a new president, and he or she, and particularly if they're new board members, there's no continuity. So we thought that it was a better time to have it, our election, the vote for the election members, the people on the office, or the officers, in December. So that's what we're doing. So the slate of officers, President Danny Gilman, Vice President Judy Lindstrom, Secretary Joan Luxick.
And the committees will remain the same. This is not unusual, we did this during the pandemic, also because things were
Correct,
really in flux.
correct.
So, but we can have a discussion
We can have
about it
nominations from the
if anyone's
floor.
uncomfortable with that.
And also the committee
Makeup.
could change if somebody wants to
Right.
Sure.
change
Right.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, we've just left it the way it is.
I'm in favor of it. I think that it's because we have been new, and I think it does give people an opportunity to serve again and feel like they have a little bit more experience or time in it, and yet if you wanna find out more about something else, you can ask.
Absolutely. And just so you know, the committees, a few years back, we decided that there were 3 committees that we felt imperative and that was important that all of us were in attendance because of the money spent and or the issues that fall under those umbrellas. And as you know, the Building and Grounds Development Committee, and the Development Committee we haven't been as active with, but that we used to have large events in the library, and it doesn't mean that we can't anymore, we just obviously postponed those during COVID, but that was a good moneymaker for us, and it brought together so many people from the community, which was lovely. And then of course the investment committee, and these are decisions that we should all be part and parcel of, and so those are the reason why we have to have the Open Meeting Act. But it doesn't mean that you can't attend any of these other meetings, it's just that if you do, let us know, because if we have 4 committee members, we have to let people know that it's an open meeting that they can attend, so.
How long is the term after the next election?
4 years.
I'm supportive.
Oh, good.
Okay, because I saw you chuckle when we first were presenting the slate, so I wasn't certain you were.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Good.
Well, on page 28, there is an action item. Would somebody like to read that?
Sure. I move to approve the slate of officers and committee assignments for the period January 2024 through November 2024.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
Thank you.
As I'm looking at this committee appointment list, I think in 2024, we do the Cranbrook DPL
We
Troy,
do.
don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, so
We haven't done
we
that.
have some work to do.
Thank you for bringing that up because I noticed that last month. I'm not sure that I noticed it from last year. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
We
I
have
know that we have some reciprocal
Yeah.
agreements,
We
so I'm
do.
assuming it has to do with that. and not
These
with-
3 organizations are outside of our regular, like, they're not in TLN essentially.
Yeah.
So we have special agreements with all 3 of them. And there's a committee of trustees that reviews all of the contracts and the agreements every 3 years and just votes whether or not we're going to continue those for another 3 years. So I'll do all the work to gather all those up for you and send out a packet, and we do that, I wanna say like summer-ish.
Yeah, it's summerish.
Yeah.
So and then, for instance, the Cranbrook one, then we'll go to probably AC, because I'm not sure if Rod will be there. And they will review it and then sign it or let us know,
If there's any changes.
yes, if there's any changes. So,
And when you say Troy Committee, is that the Troy Public Library or Troy
Yeah, so it's Cranbrook,
Community?
Detroit Public Library, and the Troy Public Library.
Okay.
It's worded a little funnier.
Thank you.
Okay, and next up is our now monthly bylaw review. And that we have in our packet on page 31.
And it's appropriately about officers.
I know, that is interesting, the timing's great.
See, it all comes together.
It does, full circle.
Mhm.
Kumbaya.
As Danny said, this is our now monthly methodical journey through our bylaws. And we're on Article 2, and this talks about the officers of the Board of Trustees. So this part stipulates how many officers we have and what they are and what they do. The officers we have are a president, a vice president, and a secretary. The president, vice president, and secretary shall be elected annually at the annual meeting. Judy, since you brought up the preference to elect officers in December, we may have to be, as we're going through these, pay attention, because I swear somewhere it says the annual meeting is in November. So we might have to change that if we wanna make that a permanent
And
change.
it does say
And the-
elected annually at the annual meeting.
And there, again, like I said, somewhere in here it says the annual meeting is in November.
I think it does.
And somewhere I
Yeah.
thought there was term limits, but I didn't see that in here
That was
either.
a tradition.
Gotcha, okay.
It was an unwritten, like,
Okay,
cultural thing,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Judy's referring to the fact that for many, many years, presidents would often serve 3-year terms. But is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and I wasn't sure, cause I
It was a petty thing.
oh, gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
Darn pity.
My concern with having the annual meeting be in November is that every 4 years, or sometimes the second year, there may be
Yeah.
An election.
an election.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's what
So,
Judy's concern is too.
yeah, so I think we should.
It's just too much, particularly if it's a new person, it's just too much to
Yeah.
have at that time, so.
Yeah, I mean, that might be the first time that a new board
Absolutely.
member is meeting the other board
Absolutely.
members.
Yeah,
So, I think that we should
I agree.
set that in stone
So do we
somewhere.
know where that
No, we'll have to, when we
lists-
keep going through the articles, we'll find it, I'm sure.
I'll
if
do
it's
a
in
little
there.
research.
The annual meeting?
Yeah.
It says right here in
4.
Article 3,
Three,
Section
okay.
2, so that might be next
Yes.
month's conversation.
Okay, great.
That
Oh, there it
in
is, yeah.
November shall be known as the annual meeting.
I'll make sure that's not part of the law, the PA 164 law.
Okay.
That would be our only holdup.
That just doesn't make any sense, I think we do.
No, it doesn't. So I don't think it is.
Okay.
All right,
So
each
we're really only covering the part that's in the red box
correct,
tonight,
yeah.
Yeah, we're doing an article each
each month.
So in November, if we all get reelected, we'd all have a 4-year term, or is there still a whole number of
Yes.
terms?
Yeah.
And then this section 2,
He's so
I
serious
know.
about it, right?
For your
And
turn.
then he smiles.
I know, I'm just watching his face.
Right, wheels are turning.
section 2 talks about the reasons that a trustee might leave the board and when a vacancy would occur. And those reasons are until death, resignation, conviction of a felony, removal from office by the governor, or if you cease to be a qualified elector, which means you move on.
I know, that one cracked me up.
Cease.
And unfortunately, we've had several board members. I can't think, he moved to Pleasant Ridge and he just passed away.
Oh,
Oh.
Joe Falick.
Joe, yeah.
Oh, I
So
thought
he-
you were gonna say felons.
No,
Oh,
and
oh,
yeah.
no, and then Lyle he was another one, he was
Lyle
working
moved,
in
yes.
Ann Arbor, and so that's why, for his job, he had to put that, even though they never moved from Bloomfield Township, but.
Okay, and then the next couple of sections, section 3 through 6, talk about the roles of each of those officers. The president presides over meetings, as you all have seen, and has the authority to sign on behalf of the Board of Trustees, contracts and instruments and documents. And the vice president would preside over the meeting if the president was absent, and also has the authority to sign documents. And the secretary as well. Could preside in the event that the president and vice president weren't there. And then the secretary has some additional duties which include approving the minutes of the meeting. So I don't know if you all ever pick up on the fact that as Lyndon is taking the minutes, she always gets the signature of the secretary at the end of each meeting. So, and that appears on the minutes when you see them in the packet. And that's all I have to say about this article.
Good.
Comments, questions that we haven't already discussed?
We haven't gotten to the juicy stuff yet.
Yeah.
We're easing in.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tara.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tara.
Okay, next we move on to our new business, which is our PA 152. And we have that information on page 36 of our packet.
Mhm.
And this is something that we talk about every year at the December meeting. And so this is not new to any of us. So Tara, tell us what you've learned in this year.
Yeah, so this is a Michigan law that says that public employees have to pay part of their healthcare premiums. The law gives employers 3 options to determine how much that payment will be. Option 1, the hard cap option. Option 2, the 80-20 option. And option 3 is that governing body can call itself exempt. We do not qualify under the definition of a government unit in this law as being exempt, so we cannot do that. The township can, and they do. Another stipulation of this law is that, as Danny said, the board needs to decide every December because we're setting our budget for the next year. So we have to decide how much the payment will be. The hard cap option, the state sends out a letter every March, which is included in the packet. So you can see that they give us the amount that the payment for the employer cannot exceed, and that's on a per employee basis. We offer health care to a single person or a family. We don't have like a person and a spouse option. It's either one person or many. The 80-20 option says that the employer pays 80% and the employees pay 20%. This memo includes a history of all the choices that have been made over the almost 10 years, well, a little more than 10 years if this has been a thing. This year, I am recommending the 80-20 option because it is beneficial to the employees in this time of high inflation and uncertainty. I feel like if we can let the employees save a little bit of money on their health care, that would be great. And there is the page, page 38 shows the math. So it shows you the difference between that hard cap option and the 80-20 split. And this also gives you a history of what we've chosen.
In the chart on that page, the Bloomfield Township annual cost is shown under the hard cap in parentheses, and under the 80-20 split, there's no parentheses. Is that just a typographical
I think
error?
that's a typo. I meant to ask Monica about that and I forgot, but
Okay.
yeah, I think it's a typo.
Okay, I would assume it is. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
It looks that way. Am I missing something, or are we showing anywhere how this compares to what we're currently paying?
No, that is not included here. I can tell you that it's a little bit more, but only, well, it's 4% more. There's a 4% increase. So it is a little bit more.
In an era of difficulty in retaining employees, this
Absolutely.
to me seems like an easy one. It's not much money here. I would support the
Yeah.
80-20 recommendation.
And it's also important to me that we send the message to our staff that we prioritize what works for them or what it will benefit them because we care about them. And we make sure to weigh all these costs.
It's considerable savings.
Yeah.
And I do have last year's amounts.
Great.
But let's see, so under the 80-20 split, which is what we decided, the current budgeted annual healthcare costs medical only for single was $10,138.25, for family $29,369.68. The 80% that the library, and we agreed to this, was $8,110.60, or for single and family is $23,495.75, and the 20% for the employees is $2,027.65 for single, and $5,873.94 for a family.
Thank you. How many employees do we have that take advantage of?
It's around like 15-ish, 15 to 17, somewhere in that area.
So it's not very much different from what we had, and the amount of people too,
No.
so.
We have budgeted around $470,000 to pay for healthcare.
Thanks. If there's no other discussion, we have an action item. There's a motion on page 37.
I got it. I move to adopt the 80-20 option as stated in PA 152, effective January 1st, 2024.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Great.
you.
And then how do you let the employees know this?
We send them a letter, I think we send that out April 1st when we do the wage increases.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, this will just email out to them, to the folks who have the
Insurance.
It will
insurance,
continue.
Gotcha.
because it does go into effect, January
January,
1st.
yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. And next we'll move on to the also same thing that we talk about every December, the director's evaluation. Okay, Tara, do you wanna talk about the packet?
I forgot to mention that typically I should call a meeting of the personnel committee. I should have done that like in the beginning of December. Totally slipped my mind. So when I discovered that late last week, I sent an email to Joan and Judy, so just for full transparency. We handled this business via email.
Yes.
Yes, so the personnel committee, which is Joan and Judy, is responsible for shepherding this process through the board. It usually starts with me providing a report of what I've done this year to you all. And there's a form that was included on the board packet email, but we'll send it out again. You'll make your comments and then give it to Joan and Judy. We have the deadline here of January 13th. And then they will prepare comments to give to me on February 20th at the meeting.
And we extract, as you know, we take all of your reports and we extract some of the comments from those. And then we have a discussion.
February meeting, we go into closed executive session and discussed renewing Tara's contract.
Is the evaluation form in this? Or you
It's
send it
a
out?
separate
Oh, okay.
attachment to the email,
It was in the
Oh,
email,
yeah, that's
it's
right, I
separate
remember
attachment.
that now, yes.
but I'll send it out again.
No, that's okay.
It was a Word document,
Yeah, I
it
saw
was-
that, yes, thank you.
And if anybody has any questions about that, they can talk to Joan or Judy. Thanks, is there anything else you wanna say about that?
No.
Pretty standard.
Yeah.
Okay,
But we do need time to process it, so please keep the January 13th date in mind. So, and if you do have any questions, just let us know.
And Tara, when will you be sending us your?
I am hoping to send it early next week.
Okay.
thank you. All right, it is now time for the discussion of items removed from the consent agenda. And Shane, you were first and you said 7,
Yes.
Page 11.
page
Getting back there.
11. Scroll, scroll,
Yeah, a
scroll.
couple of these. The six, on page, 11, the 600 for Catherine, why is she, we making her carry postage on her personal?
I was wondering the same thing.
That is no, that's an anomaly. So Catherine went to the post office to make a deposit into our account. We put a deposit in an account to do our bulk postage for the newsletter. And when she got there, realized that it was $600 short. Post office doesn't take a credit card, they wouldn't take a check. And so, or no, they
What do
did,
they
they
take?
did
Just
take,
cash.
they took a check, is what it was.
Right?
They wouldn't take a credit card, and Catherine, an anomaly for a person her age, had her checkbook with her
Yeah.
Wow.
and wrote a check for $600, so we reimbursed her for that. That's not typical.
The software for 3,300. So where are we now? Are we doing our finance and accounting 100% in-house?
Mhm.
That's great. How's it going?
Good, great. Monica's doing great. She's been with us for a little over a year now, and she's wonderful.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And this software, this is annual?
Yeah.
The cost seemed reasonable to me. The several, the next page, 13 grand repairs around the building, waterproofing conduits for generator and plumbing. So this is not roof?
No. So we use rolls for plumbing, electrical repairs, and our HVAC system. Most of the money we spend with them is with our HVAC system.
Yeah.
But we've had some, like a couple of leaky toilets that they've had to repair. We had a concerning leak through the conduits that were, they're in the basement and they connect to the generator, so this is electrical conduits
Yeah.
with water leaking in. So we had to, Hugo worked with them to fix that. So there's just been a lot of things we've had to do around the building.
Oh, I see their vans in the parking lot all the time.
Yeah.
Computerized.
Yeah.
The next one was on the 5,100 for the ADA accessibility on the website. I don't know who manages that internally. I have some experience with this at our company, and you can't comply. There's no
Yeah.
compliance. There's, testers and getting better, but I'm happy to discuss that if we think it's a problem, or is this just proactive?
This is proactive. So we've had this software for about a year now, and it runs all these reports, these endless reports of all the infractions, and staff do their best to try to sift through them and do what we can. But you're right, it's like a never-ending
You
battle.
can't, like, if you post a picture, that picture may not have enough disparity between the color and the white space, and it'll say you're violating me, and it's like, oh, you freak out, but there's no, you get these, like the 100th one, you stop freaking out, and you're like, good lord.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to know you have knowledge in that area. Would you like to come in and sift through the reports?
Yeah.
Yes, I wanted
This is
to
an
know more
annual-
about what that was about, but sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. On page
Annual
14, there's something for Augie's Building Services, which was a larger expense. If there was an explanation, I missed it.
They are our janitorial service.
And how is that new service working?
Really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they're very easy to communicate with. They have an app that facility staff can just shoot them like, hey, you missed this, or good job on this, or we're closed, or so
That's nice.
they're very good,
That
yeah.
is nice, yeah.
I mean, my last one's 7B. I promised I would stop talking about this, but I don't know how long I promised that for.
Is it asset allocation?
It's yield.
We're gonna get you a t-shirt.
Yeah. So, I mean, some of this looks real good, don't get me wrong, but some of it still seems a little low. Did we ever look, like, where did we land on this? I
Is
can't
it the
remember.
fifth third one?
It's the Flagstar checking is getting 1%. The Fifth Third checking is getting 0%, which I've never seen before. And our money market's getting 80 bips, which again, should be getting 500 bips.
Well, the e-commerce one, Monica, the fifth third checking, Monica and I have been talking about some ways we can get a better interest rate on that one. The other two, I'll have to look into. I mean, the checking account, there's so much moving in and out of it. I don't know if it's really worth it. And then the money market, that's kind of a holding tank as well for when Matt cashes in all of our bonds and then transfers it over to us. So we'll keep looking into it. I think I had said to you last time that once we got the budget done in the next fiscal year, we would dig into this.
If it makes you feel better, I had a country club meeting this morning and the CFO said something very, very similar. She'll get back to me in 6 weeks.
If not
Oh,
longer.
we're just like,
That was it, thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Keith, did you have something?
Well, I
Or was it-
also was wondering about that LJ Rolls
Uh-huh.
refrigeration item.
That's
And-
multiple invoices, that 13,000. It's not just one invoice, if that helps.
Well, here's the perspective I have on it. So we spend a fair amount of time at the Building and Grounds Committee discussing a variety of items. And this one, I understand your point that it's a number of invoices. I guess I'm just wondering whether these types of things should come into that meeting. Why is it that we talk about certain things, but then we don't talk about other things relating to the building that seem to be that appear to be as expensive? So, I don't know, how do we decide? It was like the same question I had with the copier that was bought. How did we decide that, you explained to me, well, it was under a certain amount of money, you know, but it still seemed like a capital expense, but the decision was that capital expense doesn't have to be brought to the board, or in this instance, here's a $13,000 payment for something relating to the building, but this doesn't need to come to the B&G committee, so I don't know, it just sometimes seems to me that maybe there's a little bit of an arbitrariness to that, so if you don't agree with me, that's fine, I'm just.
No, I can see why you would have that perspective. For this item, I guess these are repairs, a
Yeah.
leaky toilet. They need to happen when they need to happen.
Those on an
Okay.
ongoing
Right.
issue, maybe?
Yeah,
Okay,
and there are things that Hugo has identified,
do we think we're getting our money's worth? Seems like a lot of money for a leaky toilet, but
well, again,
what do I know, you know?
this was, I can't remember how many
Yeah.
invoices this included, but it was 7 or 8 different invoices.
Okay,
And again, they were electrical repairs, they were plumbing repairs, and the HVAC. Our HVAC system is really complicated and expensive to maintain. So most of it is on that. There are all these sensors and filters and humidifiers and air handler units, and it needs a lot of repairs. So I guess
so how do we decide whether or not it's worth it to continue to repair it or replace it? How is that kind of a decision made?
when it comes to the HVAC, it would be a huge expense to replace it.
Okay,
So we just keep maintaining it, and Rose does a great job. Leaky toilets, I mean, they can be repaired. So I think my threshold is money, and then just like, is it kind of routine? Is it just something that we're doing to maintain the building?
okay.
Or is it a big project that's gonna be very public? That's another one of my criteria. Is it gonna attract public attention and people are gonna wonder what's going on, and you all might have to answer questions about that. So like the roof, people can see that there's work happening on the roof.
Okay, fair enough, got it.
Or maybe to the building and grounds, we should have some knowledge of what's going on with repairs, if it ends up to be that much. If you feel that,
I guess I'm thinking there comes a point where do you continue to repair or do you replace, but I guess that's Hugo's job to figure that kind of stuff
You
out.
got it,
Fair enough. That's
Maybe
fine.
in the future, when there's a bill that's multiple bills, but there's one subject, maybe we can at least have like a line underneath that the one bill was this amount for that, and then that would explain things, because I know you're saying that there's a leaky toilet was probably only a couple $100, but we don't see that because we just see the 13,000,
right,
and that's more of a shock. But if there was like multiple bills under that particular,
I can do that in the comments, I
Yes.
could
Yeah.
delineate that,
I
yeah,
think that might
I can
be,
do that.
Okay, that's fair.
that at least would be a start to
Okay.
figure out.
conduit
Yeah.
repairs,
And then if we see a
Obviously a lot
pattern, if
more.
we see something that one toilet in bathroom 6 is continually being repaired, then we can, and it's just a good to see what we're doing, so.
Okay, fair enough, thanks.
No, those are all good questions.
Joan, did you have something to
Well,
discuss?
okay, and it was the item that Shane had asked about Moncito. I'm not familiar with compliance of the website, so I wasn't certain really what that was. I'm not running a website or have to
It's-
be in compliance, but obviously Shane is familiar with that.
It's making sure that our website is ADA compliant, so if somebody has a visual impairment or,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Or another big one that we're always violating is if you use a graphic that has text in it,
Yeah.
as a graphic, a screen reader, so if somebody's using a screen reader to read the text on a screen, it won't read the text that's in that graphic because it's embedded. And so you have to break that out.
Okay, so it's for ADA, got it.
Yeah.
Do you require that, any sort of compliance statements from vendors that you work with that are providing like databases and electronic or
We don't
digital
require
material?
it. I think that it's part of the evaluation process, but we don't require a statement. It's okay.
Our contracts all
can.
say you comply with applicable law. I bet yours do too.
Yeah.
Right.
Which gets you there kinda.
Yeah, you'd have
But again, it's not, if you have one thing wrong, that's not quote illegal.
Right.
The courts will look at the website in its entirety and yada yada, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, it is hard to be in compliance.
Sort of like that moment in time, I might pass a certain requirement, but
Yeah.
the next day,
Now, if you got,
maybe not.
if you're loading boxes in the handicap spot, that's
Yeah.
different. That's
Yes.
no bueno.
Okay, thank you. Well, now, can I have a motion to approve the items removed from the consent agenda?
So,
Second,
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, well, now it is time for other. Does anybody have anything? Oh, looks like Joy does.
Yes, I do. Thank you for asking. Unfortunately, I didn't attend the Friends meeting, but we got some really exciting news. They have received, the Friends of the Library has received a $25,000 grant from the Michigan Nonprofit Relief Fund.
Wow.
Crazy, right? So they've done a lot of work to apply for this money. I think it's been over the course of at least a year. It's money that would have been lost due to COVID. So it comes from the state of Michigan, and I didn't realize that they were still paying out some of these monies, but I think Kathy and Kim Hoke especially were called out for all the work they did.
Good for them.
Yeah, so I don't know how this really would compare to it, but if you think about them making about $5,000 a month since COVID, you know, this covers a good chunk of time.
Sure,
So very exciting
that is,
and
congratulations to them.
yeah, wonderful.
can we rent video games again now?
I'll go ahead and say yes.
Do you miss video games?
Yeah, it was great.
Okay.
I know it made no sense. People would take them and ruin them and they were expensive and we stopped doing it, but.
There's somebody in my house that would love for us to be able to do video games.
I'm sorry, what are they gonna do with the money?
Give it
They're
to
gonna
them.
help support us.
And but
Yes, they
there's
do.
no like specific wish.
Well, we have quite
A
a
wish list.
Often.
There's a whole
It's
procedure.
submitted.
3 times a year we submit a wish list to them. Also itemized.
Yes.
Oh, there's one cooking right now, waiting for their approval, and it's about,
Cooking
yeah.
with no G. Cooking, okay.
Yeah.
That's
It's about
important.
$32,000. Yeah.
Cooking.
Does that money come with any kind of restrictions? Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I forget a lot of words.
No, but
these
I'll
days.
find out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a reporting process that they'll have to do
It's a good question. I don't know.
I'm sure that
with the
that
grant,
could be-
usually it is,
yes.
yeah, every 6
I would
months or
think
something.
so. So it's surprising how many people get away with.
Is this the other, or this is just that we don't do that anymore?
Yeah, we're doing it. Yeah, this is
That's
it.
now?
Yeah.
just
I'm sorry, I'm done.
Oh, great. What do you got?
a note of appreciation. I have a 3-year-old nephew. Oddly, he likes tools, like really, really
How old
likes
is he?
tools. 3.
Uh-huh.
Vacuums, pliers, hammers.
Wow.
I explained that to the mystified one of the librarians in the kids department, and then we collectively we found one book, and I was like, this isn't what I was looking for, and I went back to my normal routine, and she came over with like 10 more. It's like maybe these would be better. So
Oh,
it was,
nice.
and he was over on Sunday night, and literally went through every single one.
Oh,
Great.
That is nice.
They did a nice job.
Love that. Great.
And
Thanks.
I'm incognito around here. Nobody knows who I am. There's no pictures, just names.
Who are you again? What?
Yeah, right.
What? Okay.
Oh, I'll pass that on. That's great.
Well, I will use this time in our other to tell you about a recent experience, and we have in our comments packet. You'll see that recently a patron reached out to me with some concerns about the author's note in the back of a book that was in our youth services department. He had no concern with the actual material in the book. His concern was just in the author's note. And he disagreed with her point of view. And so I went ahead and pointed him in the direction of our reconsideration policy page. And I, showed him everywhere on the website that he could find to voice his opinion if he wanted to. And he came back to me and told me that he himself does not believe in censorship and does not want to censor any books, but simply wanted to make his feeling known. And he wanted to make sure that the board knew that he had this feeling, as well as the library director. And so that is, why I wanted to make sure that you all knew. The reason I feel like it is very important to share this experience is that I wanted to be clear that it is possible for someone to have a concern and just talk it out, or just be able to speak their concern, and without necessarily wanting to submit a request for reconsideration form, or to keep anybody else from being able to read or check out the material. And so this kind of worked out in what feels like the best case scenario for me, because this patron got to voice his opinion, and but still felt that it was important that people have equal access to all the material in our collection. So, but I wanted to make sure to share that with you all and let you know about it.
I was actually glad it happened. I don't know how he got your name, but and I'm assuming that somebody must have called to let you know that this person wanted to talk with you, but
Oh, yeah, he sent me an email.
oh, good, okay. But I just think that we do listen, and we listen to what the patrons say, we listen to what the staff say, and we listen to things that concern them, but also things that they love about the library. And that's why I think these comment cards are very, very good. But I also know that he was concerned that we may not know about this. And so it's great that we're talking about this, and we do talk about things that we read in the comments. So I applaud his efforts to at least acknowledge that he has a right to have a discussion.
Absolutely.
And that's how we solve problems. It's not the screaming and the yelling, which you don't get anywhere with that. So, or imprinting something on a desk thinking that that's going to make people happy, and it doesn't. So regardless of what is going on, I think discussion is vital.
That was, I thought, an excellent exchange
I did too.
between you and
Yes.
the patron.
Yeah.
I really thought it
I did too. And I found it interesting that he reads, because a lot of people don't read about the author or about, you know, the author's page or anything, so.
And that was a children's book,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
In my experience, usually the author's note is where, you know, what they've written, where they live, and the fact that they have maybe a cat or something like that.
Or maybe what was the impetus behind the story, you know, my mother worked in a restaurant, so I wanted to write a book about
Whatever.
waitresses
So,
or something, yeah, but that was
they're usually
interesting.
pretty innocuous, but
They
apparently this one wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you have a chance to read it and see what it was that he was?
Yes,
Okay.
I went and actually I was able to find it somehow because I came in and the book was checked out.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't able to see the book in my hand.
Didn't
Right.
we include a picture of it?
He must have,
in
that
this
must have
book?
been it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, he provides a
Context.
detailed description.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read that in the, I don't have those pages.
And I thought, I really liked the way you responded. You said, I have read through and I believe I understand your concern.
Yes, because that I think is
That
most
goes a long
important, is
way,
that, you know, someone can come in and I want patrons to know that they can come in and bring up concerns and that they will be heard and understood, you know, not just,
Passed off.
yeah, and I certainly didn't want him to think that I was saying, well, here's the link to the policy
Right.
and just, you know, go figure it out, yeah. So yeah, and it's important that we make sure to try to understand what anybody has a concern with.
Our community is very engaged just by reading those comments, and I appreciate the staff answering, as well as Danny and Tara getting back to them. It's really important. And the maker space in Birmingham, at the Birmingham Library is getting a lot of publicity.
Yeah, it's very cool, very cool to see
I-
they have.
I haven't gone there, but I
Yeah.
know it's getting.
Be interested to see their new addition or their new front entrance, so it's been a long time, my goodness. But thank you for handling it.
And is there any other?
Yes, thank you so
Oh.
much. I wanted to say how lovely I thought the urns,
Oh, yeah.
but the urn at the front in particular. I know. I was nervous, but I like it a lot.
I have seen a lot of patrons exclaiming over that urn and just
They
how
always
beautiful
do.
it is.
That one is always lovely. I
It's a
was not as
showstopper.
thrilled with the ones before, but that's just my opinion. But I like that one a lot.
Good.
Judy approved.
Good. I was worried. Was Judy gonna like it?
Yeah, everything looks beautiful on there.
Yes. Very festive.
Okay, well, our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, January 16th, 2024.
Where does the time go? My gosh.
During that meeting, we will discuss the fines and fees schedule, and we will also have our OPEB trust meeting. This is our annual meeting that, and we will have an update from Matt Whitty, who joins us
Sure.
each year. Yes. And if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and adjourn our meeting.
Everyone have a safe and lovely, wonderful holiday.
Yes,
Yeah.
wonderful
Likewise
holiday
to all of
and